Uh, I'm in San Diego. Welcome. This is the Global Meeting Room. It's what I affectionately call Zoom. The Global Meeting Room. It's a place that I like to call psychologically safe. Our very special guest today and leader is Ron Cooper, Ron and Marty Cooper from the cooperculture.com. His specialty, and I'm going to let him get into this much better than I can, is never to denigrate people. Ron Cooper.
Ed, thank you. And to all of our listeners, a very happy new year. It's a new year as we're recording this literally today on January 1st, 2026. And so it's a great opportunity to look ahead and just see where we're going. I will say right up front, Ed, I am not a person who develops New Year's resolutions and so forth. I believe that any day of the year, any day of your life, changes can and should be made as you need to redirect your thinking, technology, world events, and so forth. Any day of the year should be the day that we redirect, rethink, redo, get a new start, so forth. So I am not an advocate of New Year's resolutions, but today I've done some thinking into some areas where I personally want to grow, and I'm going to discuss some topics that I really don't know a lot about, but I want to learn about because I believe it's the future. But very briefly, Ed, artificial intelligence. I believe that is the up and coming technology. And I'm at a point where I suppose I have used artificial technology for perhaps many years, but just didn't realize it. I don't know exactly how it all comes about. I'm an end user and without knowing what it's about, but I do believe artificial intelligence has is going to have an increasing technological input. We have discussed that briefly here. I personally do not see it as a threat at all. Maybe some people might see it as a threat. I do know that some younger people see it as a threat to their employment. They may be replaced by AI. And I'm sure some people do look at technology that way. I personally want to use AI to augment, help advance people, businesses, and so forth. Another topic I knew very little about, but I want to learn more about is quantum computing. I do believe that quantum computing is one of the technological advances that is going to help advance people in everything that we do. I think that's a part of technology that is in the offing. And again, Ed, I don't know enough about it. I know the term. I know only very superficially what it is, what it's about. I want to learn more, but I do believe that is at the leading edge of technological advances. And I do believe that another factor of which the third, all the three of these are integrally related, is the global situation we're in. And I do not purport in any way to be a globally conversant and expert in any area, but I'll just say very briefly it is my perception um, Mexico and Venezuela are a hotspot. The cartels in Mexico appear to be, and I am not at the source of being an expert, appear to be in cooperation with Venezuela, the drugs that are infiltrating the United States and the like. I think that is an area that is going to be a hotspot, and I think there's going to be further uh, disruptions, avenues throughout the year. Another area I believe is China and Taiwan. I believe, from my perspective, China is going through some major economic challenges. Possibly, will be entering into a depression or a recession. Whether that'll be a depression, yet to be seen. But it seems to me, from my perspective, China is going through some very, very difficult economic challenges. And of course, the struggles between China and Taiwan. We're generally conversant with what's happening there. Another area of the world is Russia and Ukraine. And I don't know that there will be a long lasting peace there in the context of Putin, Zelensky, and so forth. I don't know. I just see that being a protracted type of situation. In another global aspect, Israel and the turmoil that too many people, from my perspective, view Israel as an adversary. But I will stop at that point, Ed, and just go back to your original premise that Marty and I and the Cooper culture are of the very general principle and the foundational value that we just do not denigrate people. There's nothing to be gained by that. Ed, even if you and I disagreed, and we certainly disagree on some matters, I'm not all that interested in looking for areas in which we disagree. I'll look for those areas in which we do agree. And in search of those areas where we do agree, we're undoubtedly going to discuss some things that we have different perspectives. You and I likely will disagree on various matters, and I respect you as a God created human being. I respect your opinion, but I will never consciously denigrate you nor your opinion because I value your perspective and I can learn from that. My hope, Ed, is that others will adopt that value to where even though we may vehemently disagree on any number of topics, we just won't denigrate each other, particularly with the perspective that I might seek retribution should my disagreement, my hate for you get to the point where I want to seek some sort of retribution. That is the worst part of it, but I'm not uh, oblivious to the fact that some people do get to that point, Ed, and I want to be very aware of any situation, people that might get to that point, and I want to be a catalyst to help or at least inspired. I want to do what I can to avert situations that could result in some sort of calamity. Hopefully, nothing more than verbal, but even verbal can do severe damage to some people. Ed, that's a little bit of what I'm looking into, and I don't purport to be an expert in any of these areas, but I do intend to learn about each one of these topics and be smarter. I will tell you just very briefly, and I'll come bring this in for a landing by saying I hope to end every day by knowing something I did not know at the beginning of the day.
Thank you. Okay, now we have this on recording, so we're
Good,
going to have extensive note taking here. So
good.
let me just say thank you for that introduction and for laying the groundwork. I'd like to make some comments and perhaps
And please
add.
do. Ed. That's what it's all about. That's
Yeah.
having a dialogue.
So before I make comments on the items um, in the news, Iran
Yes.
right now, big surprise. Maybe there are forces at work in the region that would say no surprise, but this could really be interesting. Now, here in Southern California, particularly in West LA means around UCLA campus, uh, which is Hollywood, Westwood, Beverly Hills, up to LAX, which is on the ocean. A lot of people emigrated a long time ago from Iran to West LA. And they have a thriving community. extremely integrated into California lifestyle stuff and Americanism, including relatives of the Shah. And this is exciting to me. I have some friendships and connections, business connections for sure. But what has been in the news, uh, and it's really not broadcast news as much as YouTube, which is, of course, a vast audience worldwide. It's almost incredible to see what they're able to show. Uh, that there's so much strength to the movement that's going on to be able to get those videos out and online. That's really amazing because the regime in Iran is absolutely brutal and suffocating. So I would think that would be more explosive than the current Israel Gaza situation because the Russians, I think, are fully supportive of the Ayatollah. And that's a flashpoint. That's, I think, more dangerous than Ukraine and Europe danger. Maybe they're all connected. But in terms of what's going on in China, it's such a huge place, so huge, immense, that it's hard to believe that one man, as cool as the current leader seems to be, um, how can you manage all that as a one-man band? And of course, he's got the Politburo all around and different leaders, but it's such a huge thing. And I think you're right that the flashpoint of Taiwan will become such an irritant that if they do have a crash, an economic crash of some kind, there'll be a tendency for knee-jerk reaction and flashpoint for sure. Taiwan Strait. Uh, it's just an open wound. So I totally agree that that is very, very serious. Uh, AI, you mentioned that number one. I recently have used the Google AI called Gemini. Yeah, it's terrific. And I have used it to learn more in quick summary rather than heavy duty research about what topics are, going deeper into topics that I want to cover in various TV talk shows. They go into such detail with such immense organized thinking. Yeah, I said I made friends with Gemini, conversation as if you and I are talking. And that robot is totally tuned in and responded and continues to respond because I've been nice and not aggressive or critical in any way, inquisitive. How can you help me learn more about the topic of strong women in the workplaces? So that's just one topic I've asked a question about. And out comes this stuff and with chapter and verse. And I've also asked about how to do how to promote the Global Press Club and media prep training and media appearance prep, uh, how to be more camera ready, how to utilize the, in this case, a white light. It used to be a green light on my older laptop. This is a new laptop, so it's a white light, and it doesn't miss anything. And so I've asked Gemini about how can I better utilize uh, the global TV talk shows that I've been producing for 5.5 years. Gemini came back with 1,000 words of things that I should think about. I could never have thought all of that by myself, especially quickly. Now, there are some screw ups, some misinterpretations. So you got to be really careful with this and actually rewrite a lot of what spits out. But so far, I'm very impressed with the depth and scope of their responses. I don't know how they do it, but it works. And your issue about the global situation with Mexico and Venezuela, that's the first time I thought about that tie-in. And that must be what's going on with President Trump and whoever he's talking with, Rubio, I guess, Secretary of State. But that's the tie-in right there. That's exactly what's going on. And it's really interesting, Ron. What's your take of the news yesterday of the naval U.S. Navy letting the oil tankers to go and allowing a Russian-based tanker to come in, and all of that tied together? That is dynamite, meaning threatening.
Yep,
Threatening.
totally agree with you, Ed.
Okay.
And I will tell you in just a global sense of this conversation is I look at these areas as opportunities for investment. Really, everything of what I'm discussing is not just to discuss world events, but it's really about investing our resources, time, money, energy. Where can we do that? And my hope is, quite honestly, all of us listening are going to benefit economically through this as we are attuned to what's happening in the world events. What are the trends? AI, how can we benefit others through AI? But then we are globally interdependent. And I do believe the United States, and for your listeners who are not citizens of the United States, I mean nothing negative by what I'm about to say. As a citizen of the United States, I just believe I am in the world's greatest country that offers the greatest hope for economic and social advancement above and beyond any country anywhere else on the earth. And so I welcome immigration, legally lawful immigration, and welcome those who want to assimilate with us. And I'm very curious, Ed, the Iranians, of which are close to you, some in business, some are just by proximity. Do you feel threatened at all by the Iranians and the situation with Iran, or are the Iranians of which you are aware of, are they here peacefully wanting to assimilate and so forth?
Uh, the the Iranians that I mentioned who are in LA on the west side,
Yes,
uh, they have totally integrated into the U.S. and American society.
good.
Um, that's not that those people are not a threat. What is a threat is Iran-based soldiers of doom and destruction this is a public TV show, so I'm editing what I'm saying. Um, I believe that a lot of the anti-Semitism is generated by the Ayatollah's people in Iran. I don't think it's from Russia. I don't think it's from Gaza. I think it's Iran, and has been. And it's really become obvious that whoever the people who have infiltrated the US, they're directed by people in Iran.
And I have only a perception, Ed. It would seem that what you're saying, or I'll say it this way, that I agree with what you just said based on my perception. I am not integrated with the Iranians, or certainly not the Ayatollah and so forth. Anti-Semitism and being targeted by verbally, or maybe something even more severe than that. I wish it weren't so, but I do want to be aware. I want to be very consciously aware of the situation that we have, people's attitudes and so forth, such that certainly we do what we can to protect each other and be vigilant of and for each other. And I want to do everything I can, Ed, to promote as much peace as I can, but it's being aware of the situation that we're in. And I hope through AI and quantum computing and other means, how might we stimulate thinking to bring about a world of peace to where we can globally advance those who choose to join us in wanting to advance each other. That's a lot of where I am. Some people may think of that as totally idealistic thinking. I don't think it is. I don't think there's anything wrong with that perspective and that outlook.
So this is a free country, and God willing, it stays that way. Um, there's people, and it's just not people. I think it's really well-funded organizations behind the people who are using social media, the ease and the depth and the computing power of social media, commentators masquerading as news sources. It's really alarming. It's actually quite disgusting. Not because of any sex things or anything. What's disgusting is the twisting things going on and promoting that. And it looks so real. And it's just total BS. And it's really just annoying. So I've even just shut down. I don't even want to read that stuff, but it comes, it's not on CNN.com. I don't see that. But if you just look at, like I've got a Microsoft based, this is a brand new laptop, and Microsoft 11 is in it. And it's not coming from Microsoft, but that's certainly the vehicle. That bad actors have infiltrated, and they're putting stuff out all over the internet from a strong base somewhere. And they're just twisting all the news, taking a sideways approach to reality, of what we think is reality anyway. And it's not being counteracted aggressively by mainstream media. It's sort of, I know they're watching things. I have a brother who spent years at top level as a producer behind the camera. I've been in front of the camera. But and then there's a cybersecurity guy in Washington who's been on our show years ago, and he's a cybersecurity expert, and he knows what's happening better than anybody about the cyber attacks. That's the biggest threat we have right now, and I think it could erupt here in the U.S. at
And I
any
agree.
moment, any
Yep.
moment. Yeah.
I agree with everything you're saying, Ed. And I think the mindset of some people in the context of social media is if you look for negative, you will definitely find it. But if you are just aware of, not looking for, but you're aware of negative, you want to do what you can. I certainly want to do what I can to know fact from, let's say, untruth. And I understand people would say, well, my sources are always factually correct. And well, maybe not. I'm not here to necessarily denigrate any source, so to speak. But it's very easy to say that, well, what you found is negative. If you're looking for it, there's no doubt in my mind you will find it. But I will say as well, if you look for positive, I believe there's a way that you can find that as well. And again, Ed, I'm going to go back to your statement, which we have talked about a bunch of times. There's no benefit to denigrating people. And if we just pledge, if we just choose not to denigrate people, again, we don't necessarily have to wholeheartedly agree with everything, but I just pledge to you, I'm not going to seek you out. I'm not going to um, put you in a position to where you feel that you're being targeted or you're threatened or anything like that. But I will do everything I can in my power to refute false information because I certainly want people to know fact. I hope we can propagate fact. And no, I don't think we can rely on, quote, mainstream media to do that. I think it's people like you and me, Ed. We've got to be aware of, we do it through relationships and we do it through one on one daily conversations. Maybe, just maybe, we can help persuade people, inspire people to have a different mindset toward other people, and we choose to find something positive in other people. And so, again, I know some people may say that's just too idealistic to even hope for that. Well, I don't think so. I think that is something that we can look toward as we look toward what the coming year has to offer in terms of technology, relationships, investment. And quite honestly, I am looking at places to invest with the hope that, yes, my research and association with other people is quite honestly, I'm hoping it's going to benefit us financially. So that's a lot of where I am.
Well said. Well said. Quantum computing, this is like what's going on right now, right? The AI, big time use of power.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you, Ed, I need to be very careful in saying I feel like the pre-K, pre-kindergarten level of learning of this, but it is my elementary understanding that early computers were binary, the 0, 1, on, off type thing. And that type of logic in computers that things were either on or off. Quantum computing, in its my understanding, in this very simplistic way, says you can be both on and off in exploring different avenues, different things. And so, what is the result of? And it can quantum computing, if my understanding is somewhat correct, means there are an infinite number of ways to explore possibilities. And that's what quantum computing is all about. And as we, from my perception, are able to harness quantum computing in a way that says, okay, I don't, I'm coming from the perspective, Ed, I don't think any machine anywhere on earth is going to replace the human brain. The human brain is how quantum computing, AI, and so forth comes about. But I do believe that through quantum computing, AI, computing, computers, chips, and so forth, they can do repetitive tasks much faster than we can. But in terms of original thinking, that originates in the human brain because everything that we enjoy today first started with a thought in the human brain. and it came out that way. But I do believe that as we learn about and harness the energy of quantum computing, that we are going to be able to take that in directions that said, do some thinking for me. And we harness the human brain and connect it with quantum computing, and we can come up with a lot of different things that we hadn't necessarily thought of in the past. But I feel like, again, I'm at the pre-kindergarten level of learning what quantum computing is about, but I want to learn more about it.
So, very interesting conversation today. I didn't expect all of this. This is really good and fascinating. So, speaking to you, the audience out there, uh, reach Ron Cooper and have your own conversations. Ron, what's your website?
Our website is thecooperculture.com. Cooper spelled COOPER, CULTURE. I am a public speaker. I welcome the opportunity to join you, any businesses, any organizations where I can help advance your organization. I speak on personal relationships and getting along better with each other. And that is a matter of harmony in the workplace, harmony at home. And that begins with leadership, as we can be compassionate leaders to embrace those with whom we work and associate, work in the workplace, home, and so forth. I do believe there is a continuum between home and work, and it's a matter of integrating those two. And when a person in my company feels that I am a compassionate leader and they feel that we can share each other's concerns, I want them to know that I'm available to them to help resolve anything at home without them feeling I'm intruding on them. But that's a lot of what I represent, Ed. And I do know that when we have harmonious relationships, again, even if we vehemently disagree on whatever it may be on any given topic, if we have a harmonious relationship, we can together advance. And as a team, we're going to advance much farther than we would as any one of us individually.
Well said. Once again, the website is thecooperculture.com.
Yes, and my email address is Ron, RON, at thecooperculture.com. I welcome a dialogue to where we can just discuss topics and see how we may collaborate with each other. And the collaboration for me is to a mutual benefit. I am not a one-way only person at all, but collaboration is to a mutual benefit.
If we could take a couple of more minutes, I'd like to ask your opinion. I'll make a comment to help kick this off. The election and the taking office in New York City of Ramdami, or I don't know what his name is, but he can't do anything alone. He's not a dictator. And the way as I understand it, the way the mayor's office is set up logistically and by law in New York, he's not a one-man band. He can't do a Donald Trump. He can't acquire power. It's all delegated within systems. But he's got a big job in front of him, and I hope that he doesn't become infatuated with himself and thinks that he can tell people who have built a life and fortunes around property what to do and how to do it, how to sell it, how to build it, how to make it within current law. I read something, was it yesterday or the day before, about, and I don't know whether this is him or again, this machine that's out there cranking out false news and making it seem like it's real, that uh, you've got to change or work to change the real estate laws in New York City that if I wanted to sell a condo, I can't sell it myself. I have to get government approval. And therefore, the government, whoever that would be, has a right to block a sale, or the government can have first right of refusal at a certain price before it can go broader. That's really sounding extreme. I can't imagine the government spending excessive amounts of money to buy a condo, just as an example. But I don't want to get ahead of myself here. But what do you think of all that?
No, I agree with you, Ed, but that seems to be what you just described, the basis of socialism,
Right,
Marxism,
right,
that government will control. And so I do agree with you that I don't think Mamdani has unilateral authority to institute those types of policies. It's got to go through some sort of approval process. And so I'm very interested in learning, watching how New York City progresses or does whatever it does. It is my understanding, if the news reporting is correct, he did or wants to be sworn in with over the Quran, not the Bible. We are a Judeo nation Christian founded on Judeo Christian values, not the Quran. So right there is a fundamental difference of, but he was elected. And for reasons that why people voted for that, I just choose to believe it's a lot of, well, he said this, that, and the other would be free. And so we'll see if he's able to institute the policy, institute by policy matters that on which he said he wanted to do, and it seems to be that on those statements on which he was elected. But it'd be very interesting to see if he's able to institute those policies. It is my position that it's unlikely he will be able to institute very many of those positions because I think, well, I have heard, again, this news reporting, a lot of New Yorkers. I've heard something well, it's been reported, and I don't know how accurate it is, that 700 and some odd thousand New Yorkers are planning to move out of New York. And so, where that may be and whether it happens or not, only time will tell. But it's very possible that the economic basis on which Mamdani was planning may not be there to support the free things that he campaigned on. So I'm like you, Ed. I think it's going to be very interesting to follow what he attempts to institute.
yeah. Well, I hope this generates a lot of feedback and advice giving. Come join us on this program. My email is editor, global business news at gmail.com. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ed. Again, Happy New Year, and we look forward to the next upcoming year and always working with you.
Thank you for joining the Global Press Club last year. Think about renewing. And I also want to let you know that Dr. Ken Lloyd will be joining us a week from today.
Great.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ed. Have a great day.
Bye bye. Thank you.